Hey, Amie,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening on the audio portion of the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás? Long time no see.
Oh my God, you still have more energy than I do, and I'm like halfway through my coffee. How do you do it?
It's the good doctor Pepper. Amie, so this episode, look, it's been like this all season long, right? So it's going to be dominated by Shohei Ohtani. And
Who?
so
Who?
You know, that guy. So at the time, I want to clarify. So at the time we are recording this is before game one of the 2-game series between the Angelitos and the Dodgers in Anaheim.
Where are they playing?
In Anaheim.
Okay.
Before you say Los Angeles. You know, how dare you? I can't believe you even were able to
called them by their name.
Yeah, they're the Los Angelitos of Anaheim. That's their full name. So there was a story that came out Monday afternoon. Well, actually, probably Monday morning. Amie, you want to set it up?
Actually, it came out early Tuesday in The Athletic by Sam Blum. It's called.
Thank you for correcting me. See, the holiday just completely threw me off. And usually we record on Mondays, so I am thinking it's Monday. But thank you for saving that base running blunder.
Go back, get on base.
Yes, that's right.
So it's called Why Shohei Ohtani Deserves a Warm Embrace by Angels Fans in His Anaheim Return. So there's a lot of juxtapositions in this article. They talk about when he went back for the exhibition games before the season started, he got a warm welcome. But come opening day, when they played their montage at the beginning of the season, when his images came up, he got booed by fans. And since this will be the first time during the actual season that he's coming back to the stadium, it's kind of up in the air how fans are going to react now that he's a Dodger. And some of the questions that were asked in that article were really interesting. And again, timing wise, we won't have the answers as this gets posted on Wednesday, but we can always do an update next week. But basically, much like when players come back to Dodger Stadium, we celebrated Justin Turner. Not every stadium is going to give $10,000 to that player's foundation, but there's usually some kind of celebration or acknowledgement. When the Angels were asked, they have no plans to honor him before the game, but a spokesperson noted that it is possible that could change. So it will be interesting before Tuesday's game if we do find out that he was actually honored just for his time with the team.
Look, to me, it's so indicative of this Angels organization. This should not be difficult. This absolutely should not be difficult. They are making this so worse for themselves that I just don't get it.
I think really, that's your text to me this morning when I sent you the article.
It's like, yes, you acknowledge him. I mean, this is a guy that, look, I live by that stadium. Okay, I drive by it. That stadium is empty. There are times where I drive by there and I go, "Oh, I thought the Angels were playing at home today." And there's nobody in the stadium, right?
That was actually mentioned in the article that now there's not really high attendance aside from that opening day where the stadium was packed. And even the series, I was going to go with a friend on Wednesday, but tickets were $90 for where they were sitting in the middle section, not field level, but the middle of the stadium. And I was like, sorry guys, I'm not paying $90.
It's just bad business, in my opinion, to not acknowledge him. You come off as petty. You come off as incompetent. And look, there's a lot of elements in that story that we can address. But for me, the simplest thing is you make an homage. You do a little video, And you thank him because for a good part, like they never made the playoffs his whole time that he was there. The only reason why people attended Angel games was to see Ohtani. So that to me is worthy of you pay tribute to the man. The guy made you money. The guy made you money. Now, because you decided not to match the offer, now we don't know this, but I feel like sometimes he hints at the fact that if the Angels would have matched the offer, he would have stayed. I don't know if that's believable or not.
Well, and he's been classy about all those questions that have come up. Like he has never blasted the Angels. He's never said anything. He has been nothing but high praise for the fans. And some of those quotes even ended up in this article. I was reading another one that had similar quotes. Obviously, we're going to see those around from, different writers. But part of that article was that sports fandom isn't always nuanced or rational. But the fact that the fans are kind of being pointed toward animosity towards him when he was a beloved figure of theirs while he was on that team, it was pointed out they shouldn't necessarily point that at him, but maybe more the ownership who let him go, which is, I think, kind of where you're going with your statements about management.
Well, and the thing is we don't know. It hasn't been confirmed, but there is a narrative out there that the Angels did not match the offer that the Dodgers extended to Shohei. No one has come out there from the Angels and said that's not true. No one has come out there to say, no, we did match the offer. Shohei just chose to go with the Dodgers. And look, you can't blame the guy, especially now. If you look at the season he's having, his experience at Dodger Stadium, the fact that he's going to be in the playoffs for the first time in his career. We're going to see primetime Shohei after what we saw him do in the World Baseball Classic. He wasn't going to get that with the Angels. So, I just, to me, and all this about what kind of reception, Amie, he's going to get a lot of applause. And you know why?
Because the Dodgers fans are there.
Exactly. That stadium is going to be full of Dodger fans, and it's going to be all the Dodger fans cheering for him. And I'm sure there's going to be rational Angel fan who appreciates what he did for them. They are going to root for him again. The only people that come off looking bad in this situation are the Angels, because they should have been prepared for that question. Any organization that is worth their salt would know that question is coming, especially this is the first time he's coming back to Anaheim. They're going to ask you, what are you guys going to do for Shohei? And the best you can come up with is, we don't know.
We have no plans to honor him at this point, but it could change.
It's baffling to me. And it almost just seems like it is just borderline. They don't care.
Well, and to kind of go with your thing, so two times Shohei's been asked this, and I'm not always a fan of people asking these questions where it's like these are kind of sensitive, but it's in the article. So if you want to read it from Sam Blum, but it says in April, Ohtani was asked in Japanese about getting more important and pressure-filled at bats with the Dodgers than the Angels, and he called out the question. I love the Angels and I love the fans, he responded. I think that would be disrespectful to the Angels. And then it goes on to say, Ohtani said he can't know if he would have accepted a theoretical Angels offer. It's hard to tell. Obviously, the offer did not come to fruition, he said on Monday. It's really a situation where it's more of an if they did, so I can't really speak on that. So again,
he went to the Amie Cuevas school of answering questions. He's so against hypotheticals. Amie, are you and Shohei buddies?
Oh my gosh, we're besties. We're like this. Yeah, but it's unfortunate because it's kind of the same thing with Albert Pujols. Like they let him go, the Dodgers picked him up, and we got to see him accomplish some pretty cool things in a Dodger uniform. But the fact remains, he did a lot of good as an Angel as well. And I think sometimes that gets lost in, like this article said, in some of the rational or emotional pieces of the game. And it mentioned that the Dodgers, sorry, let me clarify there so you don't get your soapbox out again. But the Dodgers are a strong team without Ohtani. But the Angels wouldn't be a playoff team even with him. And it says something that this will be his first postseason. He's, aside from the World Baseball Classic, which is not, the MLB, he's never gotten to experience a postseason yet. Like, how stellar with the year that he's having. And if you guys want to hear some praise for him, go listen to Juan talk in the last episode. But he's gonna, like, what is that gonna feel like for him?
Yeah, exactly. That's why, to me, it is just, it's almost borderline negligence if it's not just full out negligence if they don't. But I
hope it changes by the time we record next week. By the time we watch this game after we finish recording, I'm hoping that they did an about face on that.
You know what, Amie? I would think that based on this reaction on social media, that the Angels would realize, they would have shame and go, we got to get our ducks in a row.
Hopefully Sam Blum's article coming out this morning gave them enough lead time to throw something together. So just, hey, kudos to Sam. Maybe you lit a fire. If they don't do anything, they got a warning and they chose not to, you know.
I'm not confident in it. And in that situation, I feel bad for Angel fan. I really do, because look, I live in that area. That is a population that will support baseball, and to not be given a product worth supporting, I feel bad for them. And yes, this is where people will come in and say, Dodger fans are spoiled. Look, my daughter's cousin, is an Angels fan, but she'd rather go to Dodger Stadium. And she says this all the time. It's because when I go to Dodger Stadium, it feels like a baseball game. It feels like it's fun. You have that environment. And I just don't get it. Why they are not willing to invest, why they are. And I know we're going to get into that topic a little later on in the show.
That will actually lead us to our last topic, just because I know a lot of diehard Angel fans. They love their team, just like we love our team. Like, it would be so frustrating. It would maybe be almost like some of the McCourt years, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other reason why I think that they needed to do a video honoring him, because as what we've learned this past year, and I'm going to segue.
Ooh, this is nice. Look how smooth that was.
This guy is a money-making machine. This guy having Ohtani, and this is why the Dodgers gave him a $700 million contract, because this is capitalism. This dude prints money. And what I am talking about is the reaction to the gold Ohtani bobblehead giveaway that happened last week.
Juan even made his own meme about it. Like, that's how inspired he was. He didn't get a gold Ohtani bobblehead, but he made a meme. Like, I'm just saying.
Did you see the pictures? Did you see the overhead pictures?
Yes.
And I mean,
that was lined up around, not just we're lined up at the stadium gate inside to get in. People were lined up at the parking gate, because you can't get past any parking gate until they open those first. And those typically open 2.5 hours, for anybody who doesn't know, 2.5 hours before a game. So before a 7:10 game, those open at 4:40. And then the stadium gates open at 5:10. People were lined up around, we were starting to see pictures trickle in, I think around 10:30, 11. But there were some people reported to be out there even hours earlier than that.
Yeah, that's what I don't know which ones are true, because I know Elisa Hernandez had a video that kind of went viral when she was pulling into the stadium, I think around 10 or 11. And they were already lining up. But I had heard
the players had to, the other team had to walk in because they couldn't get in.
No, oh my goodness. I had heard reports that there were people there as early as 4:30 in the morning. I don't know if that's true or not, but
running the videos of once they opened it and people are running in, it was like a Mervyn's commercial from the 80s. It was just mayhem. Open. But
they had to open the gates early.
Yeah.
I've never seen them open the gates.
People just sitting, hanging out on the sidewalk, playing on their phones, literally just sitting there. And I think when I saw some of those pictures, it was like 2:00. The gates still aren't even going to open for another 2.5 hours. Media, people working at the stadium all had a hard time getting in, because despite, hey, don't come early. the conversations that I was having around this, because it sounds like so many people were upset by this, upset by the turnout, surprised that this was going to happen, which I'm a little shocked that people were surprised, because like we already had a bobblehead. But like the way that you solve this, just give everybody a bobblehead. Don't do 40,000. If you don't want to have the disruption around the stadium, to the neighborhoods, to everything, just make more. There were easily 52,000 people, I think. I don't have the exact number in the stadium that night. So do a run of like 53,000. It's not like they couldn't sell or donate the extra bobbleheads at that point, and whoever is sponsoring that bobblehead, they're still going to get the advertising on it. And then you don't have these jam ups, because everybody knows, okay, when I get there, I'm going to get my bobblehead.
That's the $1 million question, Amie. And that's the question that a lot of people have asked me. And that is, why is it that when they do giveaways, they just don't do it stadium wide for, whatever capacity is? And they used to do this before. You're a season ticket holder, so you could probably answer this better than I do. I remember they used to call it Fan Appreciation Day, but I would go to the last game of the year, and what they would do is you would walk in and they gave you bobbleheads from earlier in the season. So those were all extra. So like,
they don't do that now.
Yeah. Like, why couldn't they do that now? It's like,
that would be awesome, because Fan Appreciation Day now, they do like a raffle, and it's just like in between innings, it's seat number, top deck, I don't know, P15. And it's like, great, they won. We're all in the stadium hoping our number gets called. If you give me a bobblehead that day, even at whatever, you're going to have people trading, you're going to have people interacting. Like that right there, you just solved it right there even.
Yeah, I don't know why they went away from that, but I do wonder. Look, some of those giveaways, I guess it could be costly, but that's one of the other things that I kind of wanted to get into in this sense is the Dodgers, I believe, and I could be wrong here, so you guys go ahead and correct me, but I feel like there is no other team in Major League Baseball that does as many giveaways as the Dodgers do.
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, I know the Angels are trying. Like, I've seen some stuff because I usually see it on the billboard on the way to the games.
The 4 seats giveaway, and you get
four seats, 4 drinks, 4 hot dogs for $44. Hey, you're welcome, Angel Stadium, for trying to get people to get over there. But you can't even get 4 drinks. I keep joking about this with people. You can't even get 4 drinks at Dodger Stadium for $44.
That's 2 micheladas, I think. Or
it might not even. It might not even be. Now.
It might not even be 2 micheladas.
I don't think you can even get a michelada, a ticket, and a hot dog for $44 if you're just going onesies.
I'd have to go back and look at the promotional schedule, but it feels like at least once a series, not once a homestand, but once a series, they have some sort of promotion.
I wish I would have known you were curious about that, because I have that written in my Dodger calendar.
Nerd alert! Nerd.
It's also nerd. How I figure out
he
which
is games. A nerd.
I got to figure out which games I'm going to. So.
Look, and again, I guess the question that I wanted to get at, Amie, is we were there, both of us were there for the Kobe jersey giveaway. And what I thought was really fascinating was towards the end of the game, I think it was in the last inning, you might not have been there yet, or still there, but they started chanting Kobe in the stands. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't anything that prompted them to start chanting. This was something that the fans just did on their own. And I don't know how many years.
Just to say, everybody was like, I saw very few people not wearing the Kobe jersey. With as hot as it was, even walking through that stadium, people had it on.
So, like, I don't know how many years now it's been since the death of Kobe Bryant, but
2020.
No, that's right. It was 2020.
January.
So he is still so beloved in this city. And, I was one of those guys that used to say that Magic Johnson was the greatest Laker that ever lived. And I have now conceded, and especially it's because of the way Magic Johnson carried himself in a front office position. And I say this as Magic Johnson is in a front office position for the Dodgers. But when he was in a front office position for the Lakers, he left a bad taste in my mouth. So now I will say that I think Kobe Bryant is the greatest Laker that ever, that has lived because of this lasting. And maybe it's because he passed away, but the way that people are so devoted to him and his following.
Because
But that,
people showed up early to that
yeah,
giveaway too.
they did, but it wasn't anything
No.
like the gold Ohtani.
No.
And
Well, and to be fair, for anybody listening who's not aware, there were only 1,000 gold Ohtanis. There weren't.
wasn't it
like the whole-
1,700?
No,
Didn't they do?
1,700 was the away. The away
Also, it was
jerseys
only
last year.
1,000.
I heard the number was 1,000.
Wow. And there's
So if
two
somebody
people.
knows
There's
different,
two people I know that got the gold Otanis. There's
Well,
two
and did you
people I know.
see Joe Kelly traded one of his gloves
Yes.
so that Knox could get it, and then he got a picture with Ohtani later with his gold Ohtani.
Yeah, as much as people want to poor Mariachi Joe, catching strays based on his performance, there's always the Mariachi Joe who does stuff like that, and that stuff is genuine. But I guess what I was getting at, Amy, is Ohtani beloved, or is this just a completely different phenomenon with him? Like this. Because they gave out a hat of him earlier, then
But
they do a Shohei shirt.
The Shohei shirt is coming up towards the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
So he's had one bobblehead, he's had a hat. This was the second bobblehead with Decoy, and then as we saw, Decoy also got to throw the first pitch. And
That's crazy, by the way.
Yes.
We can get into that if you want.
Yeah, and then he will have a shirt I believe it's a Saturday game towards the end of the month. I think also because it's international. This isn't just an LA fan thing, and not to say that Kobe wasn't international, and it's not just LA for him either, but we even see it with Japanese media. He is news. He is beloved in his country. People love him in ours. He's doing amazing things, like you said. He's a unicorn. So a lot of people may look at him from a sports perspective in the US, but he is news on all fronts in Japan from what we're hearing from our Japanese counterparts. So he's big, for lack of a better way to say it.
Look, I had season ticket holders tell me that once those gates open for Gold Ohtani, that the lines.
I love that's what you're calling it.
The lines to get into the stadium were 1,000 deep. I mean, the overhead shots with the cameras, I was just like, not even like, I thought when they gave out the World Series ring, I thought that was nuts because I had never seen that many people show up early. And that's the other thing, right? When everybody goes, well, why do Dodger fans show up late to Dodger games? Well, apparently priorities are a thing because nobody was late. I'm sure some of you guys
purposefully did not go to that game. One, because I wasn't going to take a day off of work just to get in line. And two, I didn't have the energy to deal with that.
What if I told you this, Amy? I know she's very popular and people probably know her on Dodger Twitter, but FedEx said she showed up at 6:20, literally walked into the stadium. She's never been able to get into the stadium that quickly. Walked in at 6:20 and got herself a bobblehead at 6:20. And that was probably because the majority of the people were already in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've heard some other people say they haven't heard of anyone who didn't get a bobblehead. So now I wonder, were there more than 40,000 bobbleheads? Have you heard of anyone complain that they didn't get a bobblehead that night?
Honestly, I didn't. I haven't really talked to anybody who went to go get them. So
I think it proves your theory of the sense of you guys can make this so everyone gets a bobblehead. And maybe if you do that, you avoid this madness. But at the same time, I think this is huge. It's great marketing for the Dodgers, right? Because this madness was covered everywhere. It was all over the news. Look how many people showed up to Dodger Stadium. Look what time. That's all. It's people talking about the Dodgers. That's good publicity.
But I don't know. I still feel like the inconvenience outweighs it, where to me, it starts to border on safety. How many of those people were dehydrated sitting out that long? Were they all drinking water? Like at what point does it
It's Modelo time.
Right. But if it is true that the players from the other team could not get into the stadium, like that's an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience to staff. Like you're still going to get people who want to come for all the marketing that they're going to get. It's a valid point. But at the same time, like everybody knows Ohtani's here. Do you really need that extra boost of marketing? A lot of these games, like the Dodgers have already, exceeded attendance records again. So I think we've already exceeded 3 million people and we've still got a month left in the regular season. So I don't know. I feel like, the marketing, but that goes away because it's just like it's a pop story for that. Okay, great. Oh my gosh, look at what's happening. But you've got potentially upset fans. You've got, I just give the people their bobbleheads and make it safe and easy for everybody to get in there. You don't have to do it for every game. I'm not saying make 50,000, whatever for each one. But like for stuff like this, where it's going to be an issue, the Kobe jersey, especially if it's not a promotion, or I hate to say it, like the second one, maybe make that a promotion, then have people pay for that. But that's bit them before too with the Kobe jersey last year. There were people who didn't even get into the stadium with the Kobe promotional jersey because the lines were so long and they just weren't moving fast enough to get them through. So there's got to be a better way.
It is fascinating. Look, I don't think I know people lined up for the hat, but it wasn't anything like Gold Ohtani. So I'm
because
curious.
Decoy was in there as well.
Oh, and by the way, Decoy throwing out the first pitch, that is fun. Like I said, I am the Prince of Darkness. Everybody thinks I'm anti-fun.
Your heart is thawing.
But to see the dog actually run up and give him the ball, I'm like,
and then he got a treat.
I mean, that's cool. That's very cool. But yeah, again, I find it really fascinating to see the response and can't imagine what it's going to be like for him to finally play in the playoffs. And if he does have success in the playoffs, and if he does have a huge clutch hit. I mean, we saw how people reacted to the 40-40. Like if he goes nuts in the playoffs and talk about legacy. And this is someone I think that is very aware of legacy. That's why he's pushing, I think, to be 50-50 because he's going to be
a two-way player.
He's going to be the founding member of the 50-50 club. And that's a big deal. There's also something, we're not done with Ohtani yet, ladies and gentlemen, but wait, there's more.
There's more.
Amie, what about the Topps deal that Ohtani has?
Yeah, that just cycled through on my Instagram the other day. Apparently, he signed an exclusive long-term global trading card deal with them. So that includes autographs and relics, and they said essentially expect to see this in products for years to come. So I don't know if that lessens. I don't know how often he's giving out autographs at this point anyway. So it's like, does this lessen because he's got an exclusive contract, or does this just put more out into circulation? It's just another contract.
To me, this is, again, the perfect blend of brands coming together. It's Ohtani's brand and the Dodger brand, because I don't remember, and maybe it was because I just don't pay attention to the Angels, but I don't remember Ohtani-madness being this big when he played for the Angels. With the Dodgers, it seems like it's a different level because, again, the Dodgers are a big brand in itself. Mm-hmm. So I look at it in terms of a business decision, just to recap everything we've been talking about. The fact that the Angels just won't do a measly little video to say thank you. That is not how you treat business partners. And I can understand that you're pissed. Like Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, was super petty when LeBron left him the first time. Like, he literally wrote a breakup letter and made it public. It's like, bro, handle your shit, man. Come on, handle yourself.
They say women are emotional. Jeez.
Right? Tell me about it. But it just seems like, and this is just year one, Amie. Like, could it get any bigger than this?
Oh, that is a loaded question. because I don't see it not, and partially because even when we're in that stadium, especially like when I'm there as a fan in my seat, you see all kinds of, I don't want to say the wrong thing, I don't want to call it, but like you see a lot of tourists coming where you know that they're not necessarily baseball fans, they are Ohtani fans. Maybe that's the better way to say it. You see a lot of Ohtani fans there, and you see the joy on their face. Now, for me, I'm just like, oh my God, can you please sit down? I can't see the game. But I can also look at the other side of that and just like, they're so happy to be there. They're so happy to see him. That brings a whole other market of people into the stadium. So it's not just the baseball, whether they're hardcore fans, fanatics, the casuals, the people who are going there to socialize. You've got another aspect now who are coming into the stadium.
Yes, it's fascinating to me. I just see, this is my first year actually really paying close attention to the Ohtani thing, and I don't know if I was expecting this, but I was expecting something. But to
Oh,
this,
I was expecting it because I was at one of the games last year with my Boston Red Sox fan friend, and they were in town, and I went to go see JT play, and I couldn't even see half of the game because the people in our row were there literally to see Ohtani, and they were on the edge of their seat recording the entire time, and they weren't the only ones. The minute he stood up, the minute he did anything on the field, all cameras up at Angel Stadium, and so it's knew kind of what we were getting into, but it's going to be on an even bigger scale because, like you said, it is the Dodgers. We're a bigger brand, whatever you want to call it, about being a higher market team. And so, it's either it's gonna ebb, maybe it's gonna continue to climb for the next couple of years, maybe it'll level out, maybe it'll dip. Who knows? It'll be interesting to watch.
dip, baby, dip.
Okay,
Dip, baby, dip.
come on now.
All right, so we're gonna wrap things up with this last story, and that is a story. Was it in the New York Times, Amie?
I don't know if that's like blended with the Athletic because it's still showing up on the Athletic app.
Okay.
So this was Ken Rosenthal had this posted earlier today, and again, if you guys want to go check it out, sources and whatnot, the article's called "Why Front Office Changes for Most Underachieving MLB Teams Appear Unlikely." And so we've touched on this in a lot of our stories, whether it's about media rights, if it's about the luxury tax and how do we spread that around. But it's basically talking about how there's some mediocre achieving teams that basically are going to use the managers as an easy scapegoat. Then you have like the lower tier, like the White Sox, the Athletics, the Marlins, the Rockies that aren't doing anything. So the focus of the article is on the passivity of the front office, and is there a way to change that, because the owners aren't going to police themselves like you've said before.
Yeah, to me, what I find really interesting, it's a very interesting point, and I know this is going to seem like we're bashing the Angels, that this is an episode where we just bash the Angelitos.
Well, to be fair, in the article, they talk about the Cardinals, the Mariners, the Giants, the Reds, and the Pirates too. So,
but the example I'm going to use is the Angelitos because the general manager of the Angelitos, Perry Maniason, just got extended. Okay. And we're talking about, usually you would get an extension if you're actually seeing results, if like you are moving in the right direction. And again, to be fair, I don't follow the Angelitos close enough to determine whether they are, moving in the right direction. But here are the optics of what I see. I see a mostly empty stadium. No one talks about the Angelitos. Whether I'm on the radio all day, nobody talks about them. You are not competing to make the playoffs. So I don't understand.
And your talent is languishing. Trout, Ohtani.
Yeah, poor Trout. I mean, that's going to end up being a real tragedy, because this is a guy that, everybody said this is the modern day Mickey Mantle. Like, this was a guy who was going to maybe break all these records. And now it's becoming kind of, I know we've used this before, where we talked about with Ken Griffey Jr., where the injuries now are altering the legacy. And look, this is why I think it's important that the Dodgers go all in and try to win a World Series this year, because You don't know Federico, Mookie, Shohei. These guys may succumb to injury also, and that can end up altering.
I
So
got a
that's
knock
why
on a wood byproduct here.
so whenever you can like make history or do something special, do it. Don't take it for granted. Don't think, well, we always got next year. No, we don't know, because things can change so quickly. But I do find it very interesting that the Angelitos extended Perry Manias, and what is that message being sent to your fans where it's just like, oh, so we're just gonna have more of the same?
And that's
This
that's the examples that they're giving in this article. So not just Perry, but like other people who recently just got extended, they're not getting as many people in the seats. They might have 8,000 less, 5,000 less, and ownership is basically like, well, but we still got enough. We're still like 7th in the MLB. So they're not feeling the pain, and so that passivity is what's keeping the game status quo, and this is what's driving, that they're saying like the deflection to buy more time. Or they also mentioned the illusion of contention. So with the expansion of the postseason in 2022, now you've got that third wild card in each league. Now teams are like, well, we're contending, but it's really more of an illusion of like, are you really going to make it there, or did you just have a couple of good weeks?
Look, I know for the Dodgers, it is very important for them to hit that 4 million attendance record. Maybe that's the reason why they have so many giveaways. You sit there and you wonder, if they didn't have as many giveaways, would that many people go to Dodger games?
I would argue that they would, mainly because a lot of those giveaways are inconvenient. Many of them are during the week, and not everybody can make it after work. So it's not like a majority of them are on the weekends. So you do have people going, yes, for the giveaways, but you also have people just going for the team itself.
And one of the things I also do want to point out, because a lot of people tell me, Juan, that stadium's always empty. And I'm just like, no, it's just that stadium seats an extra almost 20,000 more than your average stadium in
And
Major
you've
League
got the new
Baseball.
bars where people hang out in the Gold
Yeah.
Glove bar, in the pavilion, at the multiple bars out there. So it may look empty, but you find out, oh, it was still a sellout. It was 52,000 people, and people will point to the pictures of like, look at all those gaps. Yeah, but also look at who's sitting around the bars in any
Yeah.
of those areas.
Yeah, the bars at Dodger Stadium are ridiculous, man. They are just they're genius,
Mhm.
they did it for a reason. But there's a lot of people that basically will go to pay to get into the stadium to watch the game at a bar at Dodger Stadium, and they're basically watching it on a monitor, because from the bar you can't see the field.
Which is fine, because then that's not the people sitting down, standing up in front of me, blocking the game, and I'm like, hey, I'm short, I can't see over you. The other side of this that they did mention in the article too was, from the devil's advocate, from the social media aspect, the quote was, if they react to every fan eruption, they would be firing people every 3 days, if not 3 minutes, which I understand, especially we've talked about this on the show, when something goes wrong and all of a sudden all the people are on the bandwagon, get rid of that manager, get rid of our manager. And it's like, well, our manager, for whatever his foibles or whatever you want to believe about him, we're still leading the MLB right now. So, and it's always the question of who are you going to replace them with. And so it was just a very illuminating article on, there are so many teams that are just not really doing anything, and they are deflecting. And so that is going to inhibit how this game grows.
Yeah, and that it speaks a lot about their fan bases also, that they're not up in arms over this. I mean, I'm sure if you talk to an Angel fan, they'll tell you how pissed they are at the organization.
What are they going to do though? Like, there are already people not going to the games. They still haven't made any changes. Look what's happening with Oakland. Everybody's boycotting it. The ownership doesn't even care.
And the thing is, and there is, at least I do see a lot of that, and I forget what his name is, but there is one guy, I think, who is spearheading this or trying to get as much attention as possible to show how much Oakland A's fans care about the team and how upset they are about what's happened to their team and how their team has been taken away. But look, the Dodgers have all these riches, and they have the best record in Major League Baseball. And the majority of their fan base is like me, that bitches and moans about everything. That is like, why isn't this team perfect? So
I don't
it's
understand y'all.
expectations.
I don't understand y'all at all. And this is why, like, I think you want the game to grow, especially, you know, Manfred, whoever. They want to grow this game, but you have an ownership in place. If you had more people modeling after what the Dodgers do, after what I think it's the Orioles, or I mean, they're growing their team, they're putting money into that. Where are the other teams that are actively doing that? And then we're potentially, some of the stories we've covered before, like if we trade draft picks, is that giving some of these managers even more of a pass to continue to be inert or be passive in their seasons of like, well, I don't really have to do anything, I don't have to put a quality product on the team, because look, we still have people showing up, I'm still making money. Until they start actively losing money, and that means you also have to have fans that abandon their team. And I don't know about you, like, we are very lucky in LA that we have this team and they pour money into it. I don't know what I would do in a market where like the ownership just doesn't, and I love my team so much, and there's nothing I can do. Like what do you do in those respects?
Well, it's tough because when they police themselves, we're never going to get answers to those questions. They're never going to open up the books, and it's going to be hard for them to lose money when they're getting money from the Dodgers and they're getting money from the Yankees.
And then you want to open up that media deal and spread it around even more, and you're never going to see change.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough where the guys that are robbing the banks are in charge of catching the robbers. So I mean, it is one of those ugly sides where, unfortunately, it's going to take something really bad to happen in order for it to change. But
we're seeing it with Oakland, and nothing like, okay, well, let's throw them in a minor league field.
But
and you
that might be the beginning of something really ugly, Amy.
I mean, it might. You've already got players that are concerned about playing on that field, on the quality of the turf there, and like playing outside in 100+ degree weather. Like, at least in a lot of the other places where the weather is kind of extreme like that, you do see a lot more of the domes, like Arizona, Texas, and whatnot. Sacramento doesn't have a dome in their minor league field. So
that the Oakland situation feels like a headache now. And I feel like it's going to be a headache that just keeps getting worse in the next couple of years.
Oh, it's a migraine.
Yeah, I do feel like that's because you're going to see what's happening in Sacramento. You're going to see players complain. It's going to be an eyesore for Major League Baseball. It's going to be a black eye. And then once they get to Vegas and see that they have no support in Vegas, because Vegas doesn't want them.
Well, and that's going to be another open air stadium. There's like, so you get used to playing in the heat of Sacramento, which can be upwards of 100. Granted, it's dry heat, but still. And then you move to Las Vegas.
Wait, so is that confirmed that it's going to be open air in Vegas?
That's everything that I've seen. Is it's open air. It's an open stadium.
What a disaster.
At least the drawings that they've released so far, it's going to be a smaller capacity, but it's open.
Oh, what a disaster. Well, I'm telling you, that is going to be really ugly, and they have no one to blame but themselves. Absolutely no one to blame.
Again, like you said, who's going to police it? And okay, so you have one eyesore. They're just going to sweep that under the rug. Versus, but hey, let's add more teams. No, we can't. We don't even know what to do with the ones that we have. So, all right. So we don't continue to just. Let's take a deep breath.
You're okay? You're right?
No.
Just in time for you guys to go watch some Dodger baseball.
My gosh.
Any last words before we wrap things up?
I really hope that when we end this show right now, because we're ending it right as the Angels game is about to start, I really hope they are this moment honoring him on the field.
Well, we will find out. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you've been listening to us on the audio portion, please make sure you're subscribed to our podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.